at the global level, one of the major issues that we are facing as a humanity, as a community of countries, is the environmental degradation. And if we look at the data, the carbon emission or the carbon footprint of the countries of the global north or the advanced countries is much bigger, for obvious reason, than the countries of the global south. But now countries like Pakistan and many other countries, they want to industrialize. And that means that carbon footprint has to increase. And we've seen there are a lot of coal projects going on in Pakistan as well. So how you see that countries like Pakistan achieve development as well, but also with the minimum damage to environment? And what would be your message, especially to young people, about environment? Because eventually that's the most precondition of human life, to have a clean and sustainable environment.
Climate change is coming, the environmental change is coming, and you have to be ready for it, and you have to adapt to it. I mean, that is the unfortunate reality. I just was in New York for a bit. I like book shopping, so I bought a new book on sort of what the world will look like after climate change. And I couldn't sleep the other night, so I opened this book and tried to read it. Oh, couldn't sleep anymore because it was like a nightmare. How much the world is changing already with existing climate change scenarios, and the possibility of climate going up maybe 4 or 5 degrees, and the impact that would have. So for Pakistan, what does it mean? It means that Pakistan has to adapt to climate change. It's happening. It's going to affect Pakistan. Pakistan is a country dependent upon irrigation, dependent upon water coming down the Indus from the glaciers. Hopefully the glaciers don't all melt, but it makes it even more important that the irrigation efficiencies in the country are improved. It makes it more important that there's change of crops to crops that aren't as water intense, such as sugarcane, things that you can grow with less water. It makes it more important that cities are designed in a way like Mohenjo-daro was a long time ago, 3,500 years ago, where you have natural wind tunnels coming in. I remember going to Jerk, which is a place in Sindh on the Indus, and visiting the house where the Aga Khan, twice removed, had moved when he first came to Pakistan, and they had these big wind catchers on the roof. That sort of thing needs to be incorporated into architecture here, because Pakistan is going to get hotter, Pakistan will likely become drier, Pakistan will have more extremes of temperature, and Pakistan has to adapt to that. It still can. It's fortunate in having this Indus water system. It's fortunate in having a diverse climate. It's fortunate in having a very adaptable, it almost sounds patronizing, but resilient people. But there has to be that adaptation. In terms of the environment in Pakistan, well, Pakistan needs to clean up its cities for its own people's health, so people don't die from air pollution. It needs to clean up its cities so that polio doesn't spread. One reason polio has come back is because the wild polio virus lives in places like Dadap in Karachi. It lives in the slums of Lahore. It lives in Pindi because the sanitation is so low. So it's partly that. In terms of climate change, well, it makes more sense in the long run, and it will be more efficient in the long run to use more solar power. It makes sense to have efficient hydroelectric dams if you can manage to build them without too much environmental damage. I understand why Pakistan wants to use coal. There's a shortage of it, but that has to be a short-term solution. I don't think Pakistan's not going to change the world's climate by what it's producing, but how it reacts to climate change can change the welfare of its people and the future of the country.